Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello. Welcome back to Right on Track. Joining me on the show today is an artist from across the pond I'm so excited to chat with. Please welcome Ben Hutcheson. Hi, Ben.
How you doing? How you doing, Demi? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to chat about your music and more. But before we dive into all the specifics, I would love for you to share a little about yourself and your journey in music so far.
Sure, yeah. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Bristol in England, and I've just done music since as long as I can remember. Essentially, it was one of the only things I remember having a true love for growing up. Got my first guitar around about 12 or 13. Didn't actually start playing it straight away, which a lot of people do, but I took to it a little later on, and just have sang for as long as I can remember, and have always wanted to do music in some way. So in 2017, I released my first single, and I've just been putting music out since then. So now I've got a full album, two EPs, several singles out, and yeah, just loving doing any part of music I can.
Yeah, I love that so much. And since you've been involved with music from a young age, how did it feel when you finally started to share original music with the world?
It felt a bit like a finally moment sort of thing. It was one of those where I really wanted to get some music out before this, and there was times when I kind of went into record, but didn't have enough knowledge to it, and also probably wasn't too confident in the songs that I was releasing at that point to put them out. So when I got my first single out, I felt really proud of it. And looking back now, it's kind of the cliche for most musicians to say, "Oh, I hate my old stuff," but no, I'm a big fan of my old stuff. I think that you just understand the process of how a artist grows, you have to see what they released originally and then see what they move on to. And I feel like the stuff that I'm releasing now is so much better than what it was back in, say, 2017, 2018. But I also am glad that I have that out there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I still really like my old stuff. I released my debut single in 2019 and I still love it a lot. And it's cool for me to listen to that and then my debut album compared to the album I just released this year. There's a massive evolution, not only in the songwriting, but also the production and my sound and my vocal performance. And there's like a really big improvement noticeable like when you listen, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think any artist wants to listen to their very first project and think that's the best, because how are you going to grow from there? And on the other side of that, I don't think hating your old stuff is good either, because that's where you were at a point in your life and it was starting out with your journey, and everybody has to learn and everybody has to grow. And I really like looking back at my old music to where I am now, because it just captures my evolution and my dedication to the craft of songwriting and my artistry to be able to develop over the past 5 years.
Well, that's exactly it. It just gives you that chance to look back over the journey you've had and kind of understand where you were at the start and now where you actually are in your music yourself. Especially as there's the people that say, I'm not a fan of the music that I used to release. That's great, but at one point that music meant the world to the point that you wanted the rest of the world to hear it. So there's obviously something there that obviously resonates with you still, even if you say you aren't a fan of that old music. You still have that part of you that shows the journey you've come on, especially as you're saying with the difference in how your voice changes and how instrumentalation, instrument, or God, I've completely fluffed that one. Instrumentalization, how that all kind of changes up completely, and it shows just your progression as an artist. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I also love how you said that at a time you were excited to release that music. I think that's really important. And I look at each of my musical eras as chapters. I'm very involved in the publishing industry as well, and so I have that mindset looking with my music. And I think it's just reflecting on that was a chapter of my life at a time, and these are emotions and experiences that I was going through at that time, and songs that I wanted to share with the world at that time. And that excitement is something that's consistent, and I think it's really cool how we can get excited to release music and then grow and then get excited excited to release more music. I think it's really cool how our music and our discography as a whole kind of captures our evolution as people.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it also allows the audience to understand the journey you've been on with them and feel part of, well, how you've grown as an artist and almost kind of have that attachment to you as well. So yeah, I think the idea of getting rid of your old music is something I've always resented as an idea because I think it's nice to see the progression as an artist, especially if you look at massive artists such as like Ed Sheeran, where he's still got some of his first EPs just out on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff, and you can see how they've grown. It allows the audience to really feel like they're part of that kind of journey with them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing is cool when you look at like people who've been there from the beginning and they've seen your evolution and they've experienced that evolution with you. But I think it's also really interesting when you get new listeners because your old music could be old to you, but for a listener just discovering you, all of that music is new to them. And I had a very cool experience recently where someone discovered my debut album and messaged me and was like, "Oh my gosh, like I love Will I Ever and Perfectly Imperfect." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this song is so old," but to them it's like brand new music, and I think
Completely new
that's really
music.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, and this is the thing. Like I've had people come up to me before, and they've said, I really love these certain songs. I was like, well, I released those like 7 or 8 years ago. To me, they're really, really old. But as you said, they're completely new to these people, and I find that's really evident with people who listen to say like their favorite artist or some of their favorite artists and say, oh, this album is absolutely incredible, and then they might release say another album coming up, and obviously they've changed their style slightly and changed how they are because they're on their own progression of how a journey is for a musician and you might go, actually, I really don't like their new album. I loved their old stuff. And you kind of go, well, actually, it just goes to show that, you're a big fan of maybe the artist, but not all of their music is for you, but you were there for that part of the progression that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point as well. So, shifting into the songwriting itself, how would you describe your songwriting process?
I don't. It's quite hard to explain because I don't necessarily have the same sort of process that a lot of artists do. I've heard a lot of people say they start with say like the chords and go on to the lyrics, or vice versa, and kind of do the lyrics and go on to the chords. I normally, as the same as most other artists, get song inspiration at the worst of times. Whether it be driving or in the shower, in the car, and you kind of go, well, I can't record now, and I can't think of any way to put this down onto a pen and paper while I'm in the shower. So I kind of try and use voice notes a huge amount in my phone, which is actually a real lifesaver to me. And I kind of get the idea of a hook or a melody like vocally, and I start building on that. And actually, if I really like that, it kind of sticks with me. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. I'll build that into a chorus, and I'll have these kind of choruses just sat there on my phone. And when I get the chance to go and record or go and look at doing some practicing and recording and writing, then I kind of sit there and go, okay, well, I've got this chorus. Let's flesh this out. Let's give it some chords around it. Now we got the chords around the chorus. Let's look at maybe building some verses, it again. It can be a completely different process. I might just get a single line that I'm like, that's quite catchy. I like that, and there might just be a simple throwaway line in a verse, but it's just one of those that started that whole process. Um, and there's my third kind of way I do it is that I've listened to a bunch of songs. And I kind of go, I really love that progression on like piano, or I love how that guitar sounds. I'd love to take that and then change it slightly, and then have my own take on top of that. And from there, I kind of start with the chorus and then build up for the lyrics. So there's no set way for me to do it, which I find quite a few artists are starting to go with now. Is there's no set way, but it's just when inspiration really strikes, and when it really strikes, that's when I get that song.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like me personally, I'm very lyrics driven. And so I often start with like some kind of concept or lyrical idea. But that being said, there have been times where like entire melodies, like my Christmas single I released last year, it was an entire melody and I set lyrics to the melody and then I composed a piano accompaniment. For other songs, I had an entire piano accompaniment and then I wrote a song on top of it. And it's just really cool when the inspiration can come from different places. And I totally agree with you about documenting the things. There have been so many times where I got like an idea and I'm like, oh, I'll remember. And then you never do. So writing it down, recording a voice message or to yourself, just documenting it in some way so you don't lose that inspiration.
No, absolutely. And when you touched on about the idea of like when an idea, like a concept of a song comes to you, that's another really cool idea as well. There's kind of the idea where you have that thought going, I really want to write a song based around this, or you get an idea going, oh, this would be a really cool idea as like a crux of a song. And I've had quite a few of those before as well, and sometimes I see the daylight, sometimes I don't. But you still manage to kind of write that song, and it's whether that song then becomes something personal to you is what I find is really what makes that one for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you do a lot of performing as well. So can you share maybe some of your favorite performing highlights over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I say we. I perform as a solo artist. I perform in a covers band. I perform with a band with my music as well, and I performed with loads of bands along the way. Um, there's been loads of times when I've performed with, say, bands that are no longer together, and we've had some amazing times where we've released songs and we've had crowds of 200, 300 people singing our songs back to us, and those can be really, really special moments because you kind of sit there and go, this is what we do it for essentially. I want my music to resonate with someone, and hopefully even if it's just to give them a smile and enjoy a bit more of their day, if you can have them singing that back to you, that to me kind of, that was a memory that will last a lifetime. So that's definitely one of my highlights. But I'd say some of the bigger highlights is going around and just doing the odd festivals and stuff where we're on the same lineup as people like Scouting for Girls and Natalie and Brugele and Billy Ocean and things, and we're kind of going, well, this is these are people I listened to when I'm growing up. This is quite mad that I'm on the same stage as them now and things like that. It's quite a humbling but quite an insane experience at the same time. So there's an unbelievable amount of highlights I could go through, but when you've got the audience that really care and really enjoy your stuff as well, I feel that allows me to really sit there and enjoy myself while on stage as well, and then kind of just also being able to take a look back and see the achievements you've done. You kind of go, yeah, actually, you've done all right. This is worth doing.
Yeah, no, oh my goodness, I love that so much. And I think as well, like when you're performing the amount that you perform, I'm sure you face barriers from time to time. So, what are some challenges that you need to overcome as a touring musician?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest challenges I find, or I found for a long time, and I found that a lot of other artists have had, is confidence, and that's a big thing. So you don't have to be overconfident and be that kind of really up yourself person. And if that's your stage persona and stuff, that works. It's absolutely fine. But I found for a long time that I really, really struggled to get on stage without either having a drink or something, or kind of having something to relax the nerves and stuff. And I didn't really know what to do because I was very nervous on stage, and I only found that over hundreds and hundreds of gigs of just performing and getting used to different people with different styles, that you kind of eventually it becomes second nature to you, and you kind of start ignoring the anxiety around it, becomes a confidence with it. So I now, I probably perform at least 2 or 3 times a week, and it's never really an issue to me. I kind of just rock up and play. I'm quite happy to do that now, but I know originally that was a big thing for confidence. And you've also obviously got people who are just out there to, well, slate the people that are really trying to put themselves out there. And that's the one thing I've always said, that if you've got someone who's on stage or someone who's performing, whether it be an open mic, whether it be a song circle, whether it be an actual gig, or whether it just be your local pub singer, they have the confidence to go up there and put themselves on a microphone or in front of people for that long doing things. And if you don't have the confidence yourself to go and do it, or if you don't have something that's a criticism that they can build upon in like a kind way, then all I say to these people is that I think it's best that you just don't say anything, because at that point all you're doing is you're going up to someone who spent hours, maybe up to years of their life working on a trade, just to give them one harsh comment that yes, you might throw away and you probably wouldn't even forget the next day, but they'll probably dwell on that for months on end.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I definitely think there can be negativity at times, but I really do like your point about the confidence and overcoming the anxiety. And I think, like you said, that's something that comes with time. And as you perform and grow as a musician, it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And you mentioned that you perform solo and with bands. Do you have a preference? Like if someone said for a year you could only perform solo or with bands, what would you choose?
It's hard to say. It is hard to say because I tend to do a lot more of my own stuff when I'm solo. Booking in band stuff for my stuff can be quite hard because it's getting everyone there, it's getting people practice, it's getting the sort of gigs sorted out. Whereas, as I said, I've played with things like cover bands and stuff, and I've when I do play with my band, it's great fun. So if I had to have the choice, and if say audiences weren't an issue, places and venues weren't an issue and stuff, I would have to say 100% band, just because you have more people on stage with you to bounce off of. And I just find it more fun. And if I can enjoy myself on stage, and normally when I'm playing in these bands, they're all my friends. If I can have my friends having fun as well, then I feel like, what's going wrong in life? You're having a great time. You're with your friends. So
Yeah, love it. So now I want to hear about your current single, Living for the Weekend. So can you share the inspiration behind this?
yeah, absolutely. This is one that kind of came together. I don't. Is one of those songs, as I said, I mentioned before. It didn't really have anything that kind of started it. It just kind of started with me genuinely having a feeling of, why am I having to go back into work the next day, and really just being fed up with working, as I'm sure everyone gets at some point. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna write about how this is just annoying me. And it started to build from there, and eventually it kind of tailed off into this song where I just finished a trip to Nashville with my dad. And we'd come back, and I was kind of like, well, obviously, I have this country vibe to it. I want to make it a bit more upbeat. I want it to be one of those where, yes, it is about kind of, oh, it's the grind of doing a 9 to 5 job and working through the week. And then, you're living up to the weekend so you can have this time off. But I want it to be that happy feeling for a song where it's just everyone kind of understanding and feeling happy about the idea is, yes, we have to grind for it, but we're at the weekend, we're here, we're happy, we're relaxed, let's go enjoy ourselves, sort of thing.
I love that, and I think this is super relatable. I think, like, for anyone, because, like, even when I was in school, it was the same thing, like, living for the weekends, so you don't have to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to class all day. But I feel like this is super relatable for everyone. And I like for my job, I'm a freelance editor, and so I basically work like all the time, even on like weekends too. And I'm trying to like not because I feel like I don't have like any breaks from work. And
Of
so
course, yeah.
this kind of made me think like, hey, like I want my weekends back. So I'm gonna make some adjustments, but I definitely think this is a really, like you said, it's a kind of deeper message, but the song itself is very upbeat and fun. So do you have any fun memories from recording this?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, there's a slightly deeper message, but it also gives that idea that, yes, if you can just enjoy it, then that's what the song's there for as well. But yeah, recording, we had some great times recording this. This was one of those where I got to work with a really great producer called Tyler Spicer. He's a British country producer, and I think he's moving over to Nashville this coming year, actually. So anyone who's in Nashville, hit him up. He's absolutely incredible. Um, but yeah, we just went in, we kind of laid down some ideas. And we worked on the track a little bit together as well. He's actually one of the first producers I've been with who's helped me kind of change and alter a few lyrics and make sure that we've got some, an idea of this song together. And we both had a very clear idea of what we're looking for as a song. And it was pretty much, bang on the exact same thing. So working with him was a delight. I was, it was a very intense. We did it all in one weekend, and it was a very intense sort of thing to do. But it was great fun. I had my guitarist there, I had my drummer there. We're there for 10 to 12 hours a day. And this is, I'll finish that up and I went straight off to play a gig sort of thing. So there was very little sleep that weekend, but it was great fun. And it was just, yeah, I mean, I still have memories of it now. There was a lot of things where, we're sitting there and we're just nitpicking the little things. Um, but, it's great to be able to sit there and do that, especially when you really want the song to be kind of perfect in the way you want it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love studio days, and I think it is that balance between having fun and really focusing to get the work done. But studio days are my absolute favorite, so I'm happy you had a fun time recording this one. So, looking ahead to the rest of the year, what else do you have planned?
So the rest of the year, obviously, there's not a huge amount of it left at the moment,
Nope, it's
but
crazy.
it's gone so quickly. It's been ridiculous. But yeah, I've got some more singles in store. So hopefully, we're looking to get one of those out towards the end of this year. If not, it'll be very early into next year. And then I actually have another single after that planned as well. Obviously, more gigs will be coming up as well. So I'll be posting all about those on all my socials, and I'll be looking to perform all around the UK. And if international chances come up, then we'll be doing international as well. It's just, yeah, more gigs, more songs coming out, and just hopefully growing the brand, and really just enjoying the music as it goes along.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, just to wrap up, what advice do you have for any songwriters listening?
Uh, don't give up. I was at a really tough point recently with a lot of the music stuff. um, and really considered quitting. I've been doing music and performing for over a decade, and it feels like at points that you've got everything, and it feels like at other points that you've got nothing. Um, and the best advice you can give yourself is, if you need to take a break, then go and take a break, take that breather from it, but don't give up on it, because if it's something you truly love, then it's going to hurt you more to give up on it than it is to just carry on and maybe not hit the heights that you're hoping. But yeah, I'd say just never give up.
Perfect. Could not have said it better myself. Ben, it was a total joy having you on the show. Can you please share with everybody where they can find you online and check out your music?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me
You're
as well.
welcome.
So you can find me on Spotify under Ben Hutcheson. That's Hutcheson. I'm on all platforms as well, so Apple, Deezer, Tidal, whatever you listen to. And for all the social medias, you can find me on Instagram at Ben_Hutcheson Music. You can find me on Facebook for Ben Hutcheson Singer, and you can find me on Twitter or X now, or
It's
Threads
still
under
Twitter.
just Ben. It's still Twitter. I completely agree. You can rebrand it as much as you want, but it's still Twitter. But you can find me under that under just Ben Hutcheson.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this show. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Ben. And of course, until next time,
Stay
stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.